I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay.
Good afternoon here from the Valley. We started this week with a big 3 points on the board against Burton Albion with a win. Can we end it with another 3 points though? Today's opposition is a completely different proposition though, as we take on promotion challengers. Ipswich Town have won 8 of their last 9 matches in Sky Bet League One, conceding just 1 goal in the process. They've gone from stuttering promotion hopefuls to serious contenders in recent weeks, and they've won all but 2 home league games this calendar year. Only Plymouth Argyle and Sheffield Wednesday have put a blush on Town's otherwise perfect home record since New Year's Day, and those sides have only walked away with a share of the spoils themselves. Can we be the first away club since October and only the second all season to come away with maximum points from Portman Road today? Remember as well that you can use the new Charlton app to cast or mirror today's game onto your smart TV, and we've got lots to get through ahead of kickoff in Ipswich. So here's a taster of what's to come. As always, we'll hear from manager Dean Holden, who spoke to Terry Smith shortly after arriving in Suffolk earlier this afternoon. Now, for most Charlton fans, Ipswich is only a couple of hours down the road by car, but supporter Nick Hurst started his journey from SE7 on foot Thursday morning, and he'll explain the story behind this mammoth walking challenge. And we'll hear from frontman Macaulay Bonne, who returns to his old stomping ground today, having scored twice in his last 3 matches. Charlton TV spoke to him yesterday. My name is James Sherwood, and in the absence of Scott Minto and Charlotte Richardson, I've come in off the subs bench, but don't worry, I'm still alongside 2 star players in the shape of Steve Brown and Alan Curbishley. Gentlemen, it's great to have you here on Charlton TV again. Yeah,
I've been third choice many times, James. Don't feel bad about it.
Brownie, I know you was out sunning yourself during the recent 6-0 victory, and then you came back and saw us be humbled and defeated against Bristol Rovers. Yeah. That must have been good for you to see a victory last time out here against Burton Albion.
Yeah, I think that's just the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, look, we bounced back from what was a poor performance Friday with a good win. It should have been more comfortable, I think, than the 3-2 suggested. We made hard work of it in the end, letting them back in a couple of times. But yeah, I think in terms of our form over the last 5-10 games, we've had a decent points return and certainly are finishing the season strongly, which is what we all asked for, really. And it becomes a point of not about picking the performances apart. You can't have it all. You know, we've asked to finish the season strongly by hook or by crook, get the wins over the line, and we're doing that.
And Curbs, towards the end of the game, as Brownie mentioned, were you worried that you were going to have to send Brownie back and he was actually a bad luck omen?
Yeah, we was getting that way. But no, I just think that for the last month really, I've been thinking that Dean should have a look at his squad. You know, perhaps some younger players, 1 or 2 others, so he could assess it, because he's obviously in the summer he's got to make some big decisions. But in terms of the youngsters, there's enough in there at the moment. There's enough in and around the squad, so that's one thing. But then, yeah, finishing strongly. I think if we can finish strongly and make ourselves more attractive in the summer, if we can finish in the top 10, something like that, or even higher, then you know, when you try and attract players to the club, you say, look, I'm building something. We finished strongly, but I'm going to bring a couple more in and make us even more stronger and a better side, and hopefully we can get them sort of players in, because I think where we are at the moment, well, I think we're going to find out where we are at the moment. You know, by playing a top side in Ipswich, and then in midweek playing a bottom side like MK Dons, I think we'll be able to gauge where we are.
Yeah, so the boys are away at Portman Road today. Brownie, for you as a player, a happy stomping ground?
It feels like it was, yeah.
You played a playoff semi-final there, right?
Well, I think I watched the playoff semi-final.
All right, okay. So even better then, so you could just relax.
No, I was sub, but we were playing particularly well at that point, I think. Very similar to their clean sheet sort of run that they've just had. You brought in Danny Mills and Eddie Yowds and Sasha Illich, and we went on this incredible run of not conceding goals, which led us That might be the wrong semi-final, to be honest with you, James. I've got confused in my years, but we
all the success, Brown.
Well, no, we beat. No, it is that one. We beat them 1-0 over 2 legs, didn't we? Yeah, and it was a good victory because they were a decent side as well at the time.
We scored that 1-0, and it was the fracas. Do you remember the fracas?
Oh yeah.
And Neil Heaney.
Decent.
It was a big proper fracas, and then Newt scored here to take us through. Yeah, he's the one. But no, I know the guys walking from here to Ipswich, but you know where I live, for me to get to Ipswich is not a bad journey, and you know I used to go there quite a lot. Hence, I ended up with a few of their players.
I was going to say we've had some good players out there. Immediately, that comes to mind, Matt Holland and the goal scorer that was Darren Bent. So you always had your eye on the players at Ipswich as well.
Herman Orion and Darren Ambrose, and I was, you know, I'd go there to look at Ipswich and also obviously the opposition. Sometimes it was easier for me to get to Ipswich than it would be to get the team in London. You know, so I used to enjoy my trips to Portman Road.
And you've already mentioned that today is going to be a real good gauge of where we're at. The opponents today, Brownie, Ipswich Town, they've won 8 of the last 9 without conceding, unbeaten in 13 games. Is it potentially the toughest opponent we've had all season if you look at their form coming into the game?
I think if you go on form, yes. I think they're one of the top. I think Sheffield Wednesday and them have got the deepest squads. We keep talking about Plymouth and waxing lyrical about. I think they've won again today and gone back top of the league. It's just an incredible season for them, and you do have to keep just tipping your cap because they've got 2 juggernauts around them in Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich. But it's taken a monumental effort from Ipswich. I thought it was 9 clean sheets out of the last 10, and the goal they've conceded against Charlton is a goalkeeping error. You know, and they dominated that game. It shouldn't have been a draw. They should have won. So in terms of form base, this is the toughest game, I think, in terms of what they've just done over the last 2 months. And they've put themselves right back in the automatic promotion race when they were tailing. You know, they had that. Well, I think it was the 4-4 here that started the little blip. Then they went on this little run that saw them drop away, but they've recovered very, very well. So, tough game.
That game here, I mean, they was 4-2 up, weren't they, with minutes to go. And the atmosphere, you know, the Ipswich fans. I'm hoping that, obviously, we have a good turnout today, and that we respond to the fact that we're playing against a really good side in this league, and there's going to be 30,000 there, great atmosphere. And it's not right saying we've got nothing to lose, because obviously we have. But I would like to see us go out and quite enjoy it as much as we can. I'm just a little bit disappointed that 1 or 2 of our bigger, you know, like 1 or 2 of the players that are out injured at the moment are not fully fit, because then I think we would be really in the frame for it.
Well, I think today could also play into our hands, because it seems when teams push onto us and leave spaces in behind, we've got the individuals that can capitalise on that, right, Brownie?
Yeah, we've certainly got the players in counter-attack. But what I would say about that, James, is that this is a very, very good side. It's got a very good balance to it. Technically good players, physically strong players, and goal scorers. And they've got goal scorers all over their front line and in the midfield. So this is a tough proposition. They're very, very good at home. They're in brilliant form. So in terms of the styles of play, their fullbacks do like to get on. And if there's one thing that comes out from watching the highlights, the 2 centre-halves look like they can be counted on. There's a lot of space outside of the 2 centre-halves. However, that's their risk and reward. They do that because normally they're in control of possession. Right, and they're a tough team, you know, to score against, as they've shown in the form guide. 9 clean sheets, I think, out of 10. It's an incredible run. So it's okay to say the styles might favour us, but when you're up against one of the top 2 sides in the division, it's easier said than done.
Well, gents, we've got plenty more to discuss, and we've got plenty more coming your way at home as well. So let's get started by hearing from the gaffer, Dean Holden, who spoke to Terry Smith at Portman Road a little earlier.
Dean, we're here at Portman Road, and you've named an unchanged side from the victory at Portsmouth, at Burton rather, an unchanged 11 at least, and 2 changes on the bench.
Yeah, we welcome Miles and Sess back to the bench. Miles only did a brief session yesterday. That's the first bit he's done since that injury at Bristol Rovers, so good to have him back involved. Just felt that team deserved to go again after Monday's performance. It was really excellent at times. So yeah, we come here with good spirits, good options from the bench as well. I mean, as I say, we know what Ipswich's threats can be. Really good team in possession, pace and power. But we come here in high spirits and confident.
And it's a ground that's likely to be sold out. It's a full house here at Portman Road. It's a nice place to play football. It's the games you want to play in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the pitch. It's a fantastic occasion, particularly for our youngsters, to come here and show what we're all about. And Ipswich have been more consistent than us this season. That's why they're up where they are in the league, and that's where we are. But on any given day, we know we can compete with anybody in this league. So, as I say, it's important that we come here with good confidence, and certainly after the back of our recent performances and results.
And given the scoreline at the Valley earlier on in the season, where we came back, it was quite a spectacular comeback for 4-4. The players should know that they can compete against an Ipswich side.
Yeah, they know that. Yeah, they're confident. They're well aware of what a good team we can be when we get everything right and everything clicks. And of course, defensively, we've got to make sure that we're solid today. They've got good rotations in that midfield, and they move you around a little bit, but so do we. And they'll be watching clips of us again in recent weeks, thinking there's some team when they get it all going. So, good game in store for us.
And has that been part of your thought process, or one of the main thought processes? They are the league's top scorers, to try and keep their front line at bay.
Yeah, we have to be aware of that, of course we do, don't we? If it's going to be Ladapo or Hurst up top, does Broadhead play or Harness, doesn't really matter to us in terms of we know where their threats can be. Chaplin's a good player at this level, his numbers tell you that consistently. But yeah, as I say, the confidence is with us. We're really looking forward to it.
And just before, or just as you arrived, you met a young fan who'd had a walk from Charlton to Portman Road over the last few days to raise money for Alzheimer's because it's affected his family. How special was that?
Amazing, yeah. Just met him as we literally arrived. He was here. His mum and dad were waiting. Mum's not seen him for 3 days. She's been worried out of her mind. What time are you up this morning? 4 o'clock. He's limping over here with blisters all over his feet, but it was great to see him. Really inspirational stuff. And yeah, his mum and dad were here to greet him as well. So they've been in the dressing room, had a good look round. So hopefully we can get a good result for Nick and everybody else.
Well, Nick, you should be proud of what you've done. How special it was to meet the gaffer as you arrived in the team.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's a bit surreal, to be honest, but yeah, it was quite nice, and obviously makes the trip a little bit more worth it. Obviously, raising the money is the most important thing, but if I can get an experience like that, then that's great.
He's back to work tomorrow. He's at the Valley tomorrow for the women's game working, so no rest for the wicked. So try and get a result for him.
No, good luck. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Great to hear there from the manager, Dean Holden. And we do have a feature coming your way on Nick Hurst, who made that 80-mile walk to Portman Road that he concluded today. So, gents, we've heard from the manager there, and, of course, we know the threat that Ipswich can be. We know some of the qualities that we have. Yeah. Maybe a slightly different proposition, Brownie, is the fact it's going to be a buzz in Portman Road. 30,000 fans in the stadium. Can that pick our boys up? Could it be a bit daunting for them? What way could it go?
Both ways. If they start on the front foot and their crowd gets going, and you've made a couple of mistakes, and that's the key to it, is you haven't settled yourself into the game, and you're a bit nervous, and you slice one out, or you misplace a pass, and they get on top of you, and your fans groan. Yeah, it can certainly, affect an individual, but you've got to gather your thoughts. But it can go the other way, where you start well, you silence the crowd. Our crowd are the noisiest people in the building, and you can start on the front foot. We've had some good times there. It's a good hunting ground for us, I think. You asked me that question earlier. I think it is a good hunting ground.
But the atmosphere, the reason we got back in the game here was because of the atmosphere at the stadium. I think Ben got sent off, Ben Garner got sent off. He started, to the crowd, let's get going. The crowd got going, the Ipswich fans were here. And we threw everything at it, didn't we? And managed to get back in the game, and great recovery. Yeah, I'm with Brownie that the atmosphere. If you don't want to play there,
Why
today,
you're a footballer?
Yeah. And it's going to be tough. And especially for Ashley Maynard-Brewer, for instance, the first couple of crosses, because he's come out last week and fumbled one, hasn't he, and cost us a goal. So they will put him under a bit of pressure, surely. And his first couple of decisions have got to be right. But that's the learning curve. Can Razaki do what he's been doing on the big stage? Against probably a better fullback than he's played against recently. Lots of things would be happening there today. But the main thing is, as I said earlier, that we turn up. We've got 2 games, as I said, one against the top team, one against the team down the bottom. And I think by the time we've played both teams, we'll probably know where we are as a squad. And that's what Dean's looking at now, what he's going to do in the summer to make us a better team.
Well, gents, let's take a look at today's starting 11s for both teams. Starting with the Addicts, Ashley Maynard-Brewer in goal. Then it's great to see Manny Igbo playing once again at right back alongside Innes and Hector in the middle, and then Terrell Thomas keeping his place at left back. Then the midfield, we've got Dobson, Morgan and Fraser, who are a very effective 3 in the last game. And then Raksaki, who had an absolute blinder, as we saw against Burton Albion. And Macaulay Bonne also getting on the score sheet. And young Tyrese Campbell getting another start there. So, gentlemen, what do you make of that? Brownie, you happy with that for a starting 11?
Yeah, I think Dean explained, didn't he? They deserve another shot. You know, they've got the shirt, which is, like I said, is the hardest bit to do, is to get in that 11. Staying there's even harder, and they've got the result last week. So I think there's 1 or 2 in there that he still is looking at. You know, without any shadow of a doubt, there's 2 or 3 in there that Dean's continuing to play because he wants to give them as much opportunity to prove that they're going to be part of his setup moving forward. Yeah, I mean, Raksaki last week was unplayable. And I'm with you, Curbs. It's interesting because Leif Davis isn't bad for them. He likes to get forward. He's got a lot of assists this year. He's got a monster throw-in, right? And I don't know whether that's led to the assist because they score from a long throw-in against Charlton. But it'd be interesting how he does today. Because I think the one question mark against Jez is when there's a tougher fullback, a fullback with experience or a fullback that's come down from the Championship in League One. Does he get the better of those? When we play the tougher sides, is he getting the better of those players? But he's had a brilliant year regardless. So interesting battle he's got up today. And I always like to see Tyrese in. I think he deserves a run. Yeah. He's an exciting prospect.
But what we're saying there as well is there's a lot of pace in that side. That's what comes out from that 11. There's great to see Egbo back, but there's a lot of pace in there. And, you know, if we are going to come under pressure, then I hope that, you know, Dean's done a bit of work on counter-attacking, because that will be big for us today. You know, winning the ball in our defensive third and keeping enough possession to get up the other end, because I think we have got people that can hurt them, and counter-attacking may be one of the main threats.
And perhaps as well, we have a couple of options on the subs bench that we didn't have, the kind of changes that we couldn't make against Burton Albion. We got the result, of course, but against Burton, when you looked at the subs bench, you thought, oh, if this isn't going our way, what can change it? Whereas maybe we now do have with Miles Leeburn and even Stephen Sessegnon.
Yeah, I think Daniel, you know, has obviously done wonderfully well in our 18s and the 21s. And it's good to see him involved, but there's nothing like having an informed player who's caught, you know, everyone's attention this season in Miles. You know, he's a threat. Physically, he's a threat, goal scoring wise. So it's important you have the ability to change if it's not going well for you, and that does add to Dean's, you know, armoury without any shadow of a doubt.
So there is your starting 11 for today's fixture away at Ipswich Town. And as always now, we're going to turn our attention to the League One table. And it delights me to be able to focus on the top half, because that's now where Charlton find themselves. We said our target for the remainder of this season should be to finish in the top 10. Back then we were 7 points away 3 weeks ago when we were discussing it here in the Charlton TV studio. But now we've closed that gap and we do sit in 10th position. Shrewsbury have lost 4 games in a row, one of them of course against us, meaning that we now sit above them on goal difference. Portsmouth in 9th are 8 points above us, so it may be unlikely that we can catch them with only 5 games to go. So sticking to 10th really has to be our target. Looking a bit higher up now, and Derby County look in real trouble of actually missing out on a top 6 position as they dropped points again on Monday. They were held at home by MK Dons, who of course we face on Tuesday, which means the Rams now trail 6th place Bolton on goal difference, having played a game more. Peterborough United are up to 5th, having won 5 of their last 6 games. Their latest victory came over Exeter, which helps us in our quest to achieve a top 10 finish. Barnsley beat Shrewsbury at Oakwell to stay 4th. Ipswich dropped their first points in the league since Valentine's Day on Monday, as they were held at Cheltenham Town. And Sheffield Wednesday got a first win in 7 to return to the summit, but of course Plymouth have just won earlier today, putting them back up there. So it seems that Plymouth, it was just a little blip when they lost to Lincoln City earlier this week. So over to Curbs then. Strong start to the season is obviously our focus, and we've said it, we seem to be doing it. What would you say to a dressing room full of players, Curbs, to make sure that they don't take their foot off the gas today?
Well, I should imagine when they go out in a warm-up, they'll realise that they can't take their foot off the gas. They're going to see how many fans we must have, 3,000 or whatever we've been allocated. You know, so once you go out on that warm-up, you're going to feel that atmosphere, and you know that you're in for a game. And I think Dean would stress the fact that let's see where we're at as a team against a top side that's having a good time of it. Where are we at the moment? If we can come here and get a result, that should give us real confidence going forward. So yeah, I think the fans there should be enjoying it, should make a bit of a noise, and we should be able to respond.
Well, there's a full programme of League One fixtures taking place up and down the country today. A couple of games kicked off early, both of which were local derbies. The Devon derby finished 1-0 to Plymouth, as I mentioned, putting them back at the top of the table, whilst Cambridge United and Plymouth finished 2-0 to Cambridge on that one. MK Dons, who we play on Tuesday, will see their home game against Cheltenham Town as very winnable today, and they could move 7 points above the relegation zone if they win. Burton, who we beat last time out, host league leaders Sheffield Wednesday, and in fact Ipswich are the only club today inside the top 10 who are playing at home. Barnsley head to Forest Green, who will be relegated if they don't win or if Oxford United can pick up a point or more at Bolton, and Derby go to Bristol Rovers. Wickham go to Morecambe, and Portsmouth head west to Shrewsbury. Brownie, over to you. Any standout fixtures there?
Yeah, I mean, I like our one, funny enough. I think that's two informed sides. You've got the first and third days in terms of form guides currently. So I think that's a very, very good side. I think the fact it's a sellout, you look up and down that league, there isn't really a better game than that one for me. two big clubs.
As we've mentioned already, it's a fantastic gauge for us of where we currently sit amongst this group of players.
But, I think Ipswich, the pressure's on Ipswich today because all the other teams have got winnable games for me. Looking at the fixtures here, so it means that if Ipswich think they're going to get in the top two, they've got to beat us today.
Yeah, well, the Plymouth win just a minute ago, that's a tough one going to Exeter. It's not so tough if that's at home, but going to Exeter, local derby, early kick-off, getting the win, and Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday know that they've got to keep up the pressure. They've got to now get results. There's no slip up from Plymouth, so it adds a little bit more pressure as well.
OK, well, now we're going to turn our attention away from today's fixture for the moment to update you on some club news. First up, we will start with ticketing news. And fans are reminded that season tickets for the 2023-24 season are now on sale. Since going on sale, we've secured back-to-back home victories, scoring a combined 9 times against Shrewsbury and Burton, so great marketing there. Adult season tickets start from just £285 each, which equates to less than £12.50 per match. And you can get yours in person, by phone, by post or online by heading to booking.cafc.co.uk. You now have just under 1 month to secure those 23-24 tickets at the Phase 1 price. So get going. And season tickets for our popular Valley Express coach service are now also available, as is seasonal hospitality. Sticking with season tickets, and women's team season tickets are now available too, and they're priced at just £70 for adults, £40 for over 65s and just £25 for under 18s and students, whilst the family season ticket, which covers 2 adults and 2 children, is priced at £120. You can get yours online by heading to booking.cafc.co.uk by visiting the Valley in person or by calling 03330 14 44 44. Back to the men's team now, and tickets for our 2 remaining home fixtures against Morecambe on Saturday, April the 22nd, and Port Vale on Saturday the 29th are on sale. As we said a moment ago, we've won our last 2 home games, so make sure you are here for the last few. Match tickets start at £23 for adults, and you can get yours online as always by heading to booking.cafc.co.uk. There was fantastic news for Jez Raksaki and youngster Zach Mitchell earlier this week, as they were both nominated for EFL Awards. Raksaki has been nominated for the Sky Bet League One Young Player of the Season award alongside Ipswich Town's Cameron Humphreys and Bali Mumba of Plymouth Argyle. Meanwhile, Mitchell is up for the Apprentice of the Year award, and he's up against Fabio Jarlo of Barnsley and Oxford United's Gatlin O'Donker. The League One Apprentice of the Year last year, of course, was won by our very own Deji Elarewi. The winners of all EFL awards will be announced on Sunday, April the 23rd. Next up, the club's kit suppliers, Castor, will meet with fans ahead of our home fixture against Morecambe on Saturday, April the 22nd, giving them the chance to have their say on the 2024-25 kits. Supporters groups will be invited to have a representative present at the consultation, and anyone else wishing to be involved should email website@cafc.co.uk explaining why they should be involved in the same consultation. The Charlton women's under-21s team lifted silverware on Wednesday night as they were crowned Repos Women's Cup champions, beating Billericay Town in a very tense final in Lewis. The tie was locked at 1-1 with 90 minutes having elapsed, and Billericay then thought they'd bagged themselves a winner. However, in the 10th minute of stoppage time, Mary Bashford netted this incredible long-range strike to take the tie to penalties, which the Addicts edged 5-4. A huge congratulations to them, and we'll be speaking to under-21 coach Tom Cruise live on Charlton TV on Tuesday night. And finally, the Charlton women's senior team will be back in action here at the Valley tomorrow when they take on Durham in the Barclays Women's Championship. The clash kicks off at midday and tickets are priced at £10 for adults and £5 for concessions. Karen Hill's side still have a chance, albeit a very, very slim one, of winning the league, so it'd be great to have as many of you down there in the crowd as possible to support them. Right, moving on now. You saw him a little earlier. Nick Hurst is amongst the away travelling fans today. Last season, he walked all the way from the Valley to Cambridge United. And this Thursday, he started here in SE7 and today has finally found himself at Portman Road. And we're going to speak to him now about this 80-mile challenge.
Nick, there's 1,000 or so Charlton fans heading to Ipswich on Saturday, of which you're one. But your journey will begin on Thursday morning. Why is that?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm doing a charity walk or hike, whatever you want to call it, from the Valley here to Portman Road, and that begins on Thursday morning because it's quite the journey, to put it that way.
And how far is the journey in total?
It's about 80 miles, just short of that. So that's why I'm having to leave Thursday morning rather than Saturday morning like everyone else.
And it's not the first time you've done something like this, is it? I know you went to Cambridge last year, so do you feel ready and prepped to go again?
Yeah, I certainly feel more prepared than I did last year, and it's a bit longer this year as well, so I think that experience is definitely going to help me achieve it and make it less painful on the feet, certainly, than last year.
How was it last year? Was it more difficult than you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, the second day last year I remember was quite tough. I remember after the game, obviously sitting down for 90 minutes after doing that walk from here to Cambridge, I could barely move after. So hopefully it's not the same this year because I know Ipswich are in the upper tier, so it might be a fair few more steps to climb than last year.
And it's all for a good cause, isn't it? Can you just explain why you're doing this?
Yeah, so I'm doing it for the Alzheimer's Society. Last year my nan passed away, having suffered for it for quite a while, up to 15 years. And then this year, earlier on, my great-nan passed away of it, having suffered for about 5 to 10 years as well. So it's had quite a big impact on both sides of my family, really. So that's why I chose to donate to this charity.
And can you just explain a bit about how much you managed to raise last year? Because it was obviously an incredible effort, but you got an incredible...
Yeah, last year I raised £3,500. So it was quite a lot, more than I ever expected. I think I was only expecting about £500 last year, so to reach 3,500 was amazing. And hopefully I can raise as much as possible again this year. Obviously anything is going to a good cause, so anything's better than nothing, really. I'm
sure there'll be a few fans watching this as well, so if they're feeling generous and able to donate, how can they go about?
I've got a Just Giving page, and it's www.justgiving.com, and then my page is Away Day Walk for Alzheimer's 2023. Or if you search my name, Nick Hurst, in the search bar, you'll be able to see it come up on, like I said, justgiving.com. And then obviously just follow the steps on the website and you'll be able to donate that way.
And we'll get Ipswich done first, but any more plans for future away day walks?
Maybe next year. I think there's a few more local sides in the league next year. So maybe, who knows.
Well, very best of luck with it.
Cheers, thank you.
Fantastic effort there from Charlton fan Nick Hurst. Now, turning our attention to Macaulay Bonne, who at the start of last season started on fire for today's opponents, Ipswich Town, scoring 11 goals by the beginning of November. And Charlton TV caught up with Macaulay this week upon his return to Portman Road.
Mac, 2-2 at home and now a big game to come on the road. How are you feeling about things at the moment?
I think the 2 goals for me come at the perfect time. Like now, obviously I'm a bit gutted not to have scored before in the games I've had, but I've not really played in the last 6 to 12 months properly. And I think it took time for me to get back up to match speed. And it's just one of the things that a strike, you wait for it to come, and hopefully now they come in week in, week out now, or until the rest of the season.
We were saying a couple of minutes ago, I think your first touch back for us was the shot that hit the post. You then had to wait a few weeks for the first goal, and then 2 come within a few days of each other. Is that something that plays on your mind as a striker?
A bit of both really, because if that goes in, I'll probably end up going on a run from them. But it's just one of the things is like, I've come on, hit the post, and I'm expecting, even myself expecting to score more, and way more than I have already. But as a striker, you can't get too frustrated, because like in the last few weeks, I could have gone the opposite way. Not scoring, not really playing so much, like throwing me dummies at the pram, but like I've been ready when the gaffer's called upon me. I come on and scored, and started the other day, scored I think, and even he's saying I look a bit sharper now. I think it's just taking me a bit more time than I wanted to get back up to match speed. And obviously you can train week in, week out and day out, but the way you're going to get fit is by playing games, and I think now I've got back my match fitness. Because in the week against Burton, I felt really good. And shame I got a bit cramped, but that's probably from not playing for weeks.
And on the goals themselves, neither of them were sort of 30-yarders, both real strikers' finishes, being in the right place at the right time. How pleasing was that for you?
Yeah, for me, if as long as it says Bonne on the score sheet, I don't care how the goals come. It can hit my knee, my back, however, but it says you've got to be in them areas to score the goals. And as long as I'm always getting myself in them areas, it's giving me the best chance of scoring a goal. And no matter if it's a 30-yarder or literally on the goal line, I'll take any goal that comes.
And you kind of touched on it a minute ago, a bit of a frustrating year or so for you, maybe a bit longer. Do you feel like you're getting back to the true Macaulay Bonne?
Yeah, I feel like I'm nearly there. And the Burton game probably hopefully showed more fans that's the real me, how I was before and that. Before the not playing for weeks, not being in any squads at QPR, I kind of got frustrated, but I didn't take my foot off the gas. I would try to make sure that if I was to move on at any point, I'm ready to go. Obviously, I come here trying to be the player I was a year ago when I was fit and scoring, but that's not the case. Like, it's hard to go from just training for an hour a day to go and be thrown into a team and go in there, I'll go and do the business. It's like, it takes time. Everyone's different, and obviously I took a bit longer than I wanted to, but enough for me now, 2-2 at home. It's just now like keeping that momentum going till the last day of the season.
And your second debut for us back in January, the Macaulay Bonne chant was reignited by the fans. You heard it again the last couple of home games. What does that mean to you hearing that?
Yeah, it was nice to hear that after the way obviously I left things last time I left Charlton. It was nice to, I was a bit sceptical. Like, Hornby was like, go warm up. I was like, well, I'm going to get booed here, or they're going to sing my name. And to be fair, I'm back now, and now it's time to show fans what I can do. And
Saturday to come, a big game for you. You grew up in and around the Ipswich area. You had a great spell there in the first half of last season. How much are you looking forward to going back there?
Yeah, it's one for me that I kind of like when I signed here. It's the one that I kind of been like making sure that I want to make sure I'm playing that game. Because yeah, I grew up there, but it's like for me, it's a game. 11v11. I'm going to go out there to score and win the game. So for the day, I've just kind of put that to the back of my mind and just go out there and do the business for Charlton.
We had a really good spell there, first half of last season. As we said, I think it was 11 goals by the start of November. Why do you think you hit such a purple patch of form there?
Well, under Paul Cook, he put a lot of trust in me and didn't really give me any, like, it's weird to say that, we'd be training, doing 11v11s, I come to go short, he's like, I don't want you in here. And on a weekend, he'd be like, I never want to see your face in the game. He goes, I just want to see your name, number, going that way, scoring goals. And it kind of gave me more sense of freedom. And obviously when McKenna came in, he was more of a ball-playing coach, and obviously come from the Man United and the Tottenham setups. And it kind of like took the focus away from the number 9 and more to number 10s. So I found myself more like coming to feet and then letting the 10s go on. And by the time the ball's gone behind me, I've got 40, 50 yards to make up, but I wasn't really getting anywhere near the goal, wasn't getting many chances. But like I said, it's one of the things, I'm a team player. If that's how he wants me to do it, I did it. And fortunately enough, I stopped scoring. But for me, the first half of that season was like probably the best I've played since leaving Charlton that time.
And how enjoyable was that spell for you, particularly the first half of last season?
It was incredible because obviously I grew up in the area, literally stone throw from the stadium, and week in, week out I had 60, 70 people coming just to watch me from friends and family. And obviously growing up there, coming through the academy, to go and wear the town shirt was for me, it was probably one of the highs of my career.
And just lastly, what would that mean to you, putting one in the net at Portman Road to potentially scupper their promotion hopes?
All my family are town fans, like aunties, uncles, my dad's always support wherever I've been, and they've all asked me this question, oh, are you going to celebrate? I'm like, end of the day, it's a game. If I score a goal, I'm going to celebrate. And if that means getting a few boos from the town fans there, I'm going to have to take it. You know, it's my job. My job is to put balls in the net for the team I'm employed by. So, like you said, yeah, it's going to be a fun one, I think. And yeah, just see how it goes.
And just very lastly, actually, so Saturday aside, I think it's 5 games to go, isn't it? What are we hoping to get out of these last 5 games? What are the targets?
Just win. I think for me, it's possible. If you look at our fixtures, Ipswich is probably going to be our toughest one because obviously they're fighting for promotion. The others, a few down there. I think for me personally and the team, just go and get as many points on the board and finish the highest table possible to push on for next season. Because I think that we're 10th now, we're 8 points off Peterborough, I don't know who's above it, is it Peterborough? Portsmouth, sorry. 8 points there. If we can close that gap to even go level with 9th or finish in the top 10, I think it's going to be a good way to end the season on a high and just get as many points on the board.
Very best of luck.
Thank you, cheers.
Great to hear from Macca there, and of course he was the man who scored the decisive goal in the win here against Burton Albion on Monday. And just in case you missed that game live or via online stream, here's an alternative look at some of the highlights.
The bank holiday weekend didn't get off to the start that we would have liked, but today we have the opportunity to make sure that it ends with smiles on our faces. It was a very happy valley the last time we played at home, so let's go out there and rediscover that feel-good factor.
We want a reaction today, we want to bounce back, and we need to finish the season strongly.
Because of course this Valley crowd, the last time they were here was a 6-0 win, and certainly Charlton fans will take that again. And Dean Holden was certainly make his point to the players. This is not a time to lie down. You've got to prove yourself if you want to be part of a potential promotion push next season. George Dobson, the captain, over the ball.
Raksaki on the run, still with edge of the parents here. Raksaki cuts back, right foot. Raksaki! It's absolutely delightful from Jason Raksaki. He had everyone fooled when he got onto his left foot. Cuts back onto his right, and he's delivered another wonderful goal for Charlton. Fraser takes and he's on a run here. Fraser pokes it forward towards Raksaki. Can he get there for Charlton? Yes, he can! Brilliant run from Fraser. Pokes it forward to Raksaki, and everything he touches at the moment just seems to equate to goals for Charlton.
Campbell, nobody other than Raksaki in the box. So Campbell trying to take on Helm, does so to the outside, ball across, and it might run box way, and it does! And he slides it in, just like the last goal at the Valley, where it quite a little bit fortuitously ran into his path, but he made the most of it, and he's done exactly the same thing here as the cross from Campbell was cut out, but it fell to a Bonne who was falling backwards, but he got enough on it to poke it past McGillivray for Charlton's third.
So there we go, a 5-goal thriller and 3 points. That's a rather sweet way to wrap up the Easter weekend. Until next time, goodbye.
So, gents, those two back-to-back features there where Macaulay Bonne is very much a star man. Brownie, what have you made of Bonne's return? Even if we go aside from the couple of recent goals, his overall general play, and has he done enough for you to maybe secure something here next season?
I'm not sure. I've got to be honest with you, I feel for him as a player. Actually, let's take aside decision-making processes out of it. Let's think about his career over the last 18 months. He went off to Ipswich on loan, done a good job, changing manager, style didn't suit his play. Doesn't mean it's wrong that the manager's changed it. It just happens. A manager has a way of playing. Your style just doesn't suit it. His time at QPR has not gone well, and so therefore, when you're somewhere and it's not going well and you're not getting games and you've been loaned out, it went well and you've been recalled and you're not playing games again, that's got to have an effect on your fitness levels, your mentality, everything. So what we've got is not a ready and fit Macaulay Bonne who's firing all cylinders. We've had to wait and be patient. And I agree, I think if that first shot that hit the post had gone in, we may have seen a different Macaulay. But it's been a difficult period. So if you take the performances to the 2 goals recently, the answer is emphatically no. But there are reasons for that. It's a tough old last 18 months he's been through. And that can really affect strikers more than anyone in the world need confidence. And they need to be playing regularly and finding the back of the net. And he hasn't been doing that. But that's not to say he's not a good player or a good goal scorer. He has proven he is, certainly at League One level and League Two. But it was a hard run up until he's got that first goal. But hopefully that's going to see him kick on.
Curbs, he starts again leading the line today. What did you make of his performance here against Burton? Of course, he got the goal.
He starts a bit different today. He's got a couple of goals under his belt, what Brownie's talking about. I think when he first came into the club, he was isolated. He was lacking fitness, obviously, but he was isolated. We wasn't playing well. We couldn't get anyone up to support him, and it wasn't going so well. But I think it's a different Macaulay Bonne now than what we saw about 6 or 7, 8 weeks ago. So I'm interested to see how he performs today. Because, listen, I don't know what the contract situation is, if he's running out at QPR or whatever. But he's got an opportunity in this run-in. As if Miles don't reclaim his place, but he's an opportunity in this run-in to show what he's about. And as I say, I think he's in a different place now than he was perhaps 5 or 6 weeks ago. And we've got a tough opposition today, so let's see how he performs.
A key player for us today as well, Brownie, could be Michael Hector at the back. I know you like him a lot and he's really solidified that back line. How important is he going to be for the team?
I think defensively as a team today, we've got to show some guts and determination because we're going to be under a lot of pressure. They're at home, they've got to be on the front foot, they've got to get a result, and they're going to pressurise. We are going to come under a consistent amount of pressure during this 90 minutes. And when I say about being defensively resilient, I'm not just talking about the goalkeeper in the back four. I think sometimes our midfield, when we're not performing to our best, gets played through quite easily. That they're going to risk their fullbacks forward, their 2 front players in Burns and Broadhead. They're going to tuck inside a little bit, and they like to get that, as we heard Macaulay say, they like Hurst to drop in and those 2 to break beyond. And if we don't track those runs, those 2 will break forward. So, listen, we've got to be on our mettle defensively. I think we've got the worst defensive record in the top 11, right? And outside the top 5, we've got the best attacking record in the rest of the league. Yeah. It's a really weird setup we've got. We're actually finding it much easier to score goals at the moment. But defensively, we just concede too many goals, and this is a tough place to go. We've got to be on our mettle.
No changes for us in the starting 11. There is just one for Ipswich Town this afternoon, Brownie.
Yeah. Well, listen, they've brought in a front left player, a Broadhead, and he's been sort of coming in and outside with harness. But listen, why would you change their side? They've been absolutely dominant in League One in the last 2 months, and like we've been discussing, little hiccup against Charlton, but they were the better side. They had more possession, more chances. And this is a great game for them to bounce back, I guess, but it's a tough one.
The game that we watched here as well, Sam Morsey, ex-Premier League, was key. What can we do to stop him, Curbs? Who do you reckon that comes down to?
I'm just thinking about the midfield because, big game for Fraser as well. I'm thinking about that midfield, and George ends up doing so much work defensively, and I think he's going to be vital today, because I think he's going to have to snuff out 1 or 2 things.
Yeah, you talk about Morsey. This is what makes him such a good side. They've got Wes Burns, scores goals, assists. You've got Broadhead coming back in. Chaplin scores goals, a lot of goals from the 10 position. They've left out their second best top goal scorer, Freddie Ladapo. I don't know if he's struggling with an injury, but listen, they've got some threats right across that front six.
Well, gentlemen, it looks like action is about to get underway, so I'll hand over now to our commentary team of Terry Smith and Greg Stubley. Come on, you Alex.
Thank you, James. Thanks, Curbs. Thanks, Brownie. Yes, welcome everyone to Portman Road.